this is Caitlin, your host of the NoSleep4Dramas Podcast, where we get no sleep and survive on coffee to watch just one more episode at night. Hello and welcome back. This week we are talking about Korean dramas. Now, if you have been reading the NoSleep4Dramas blog for any length of time, but at least especially within the last 6 months or so, I have made an attempt on listing out my all-time favorite dramas from the various countries. And today I released the final list. So we have my favorite Jdramas all time, my favorite Cdramas, my favorite Thai dramas of all time, my favorite Tdramas, and then I even did my favorite BL dramas of all time in like the last 6 months or so. And I saved Korean dramas for the last list because I've been watching those the longest, and I felt like I had a bigger pool to choose from than any of the other countries. And let me tell you, it was harder to make this list. And this is the only list that I have honorable mentions. So, as you can tell, I had a lot of options and it was hard to choose. But today's podcast is going to be talking about what Korean dramas are on this list as my favorite K-dramas of all time. Let me know what some of yours are, either on social media. You can find me on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter, or even just message below this podcast episode. But yeah, I'd like to know what some of your favorite Korean dramas of all time, because I am absolutely positive mine is going to be completely different from yours. So, a little background, especially when it comes to Korean dramas. I've been watching Korean dramas for over 15 years now. They were my gateway dramas to Asian dramas, and a lot has changed over those years. I tried out a mix of genres with this list. I tried to make not just crime dramas, even though I could easily make my all-time favorite Korean crime dramas list. So if you want that, let me know. But I tried to do like multiple genres and tried to at least put something on this list that somebody else might want to watch. Like if you're not into crime dramas, you will find a romance drama. Or if you're not into romance dramas, you will find a crime drama, so on and so forth. So, a little ground rules. I said this with all the lists on my blog, and this is now on my blog as well as a list, and all the links to the previous lists that I mentioned are in this blog post. So you can also go to the blog and find all of these other lists that I've released over the last 6 months if you are wondering what my all-time favorites from all the other countries are. So, few ground rules. One, this list is in no particular order or genre. It's just my favorite list of K-dramas. I've had to have completed the drama to be on this list, so I can't have like dropped it at episode 15 and say it's my favorite ever. And if your favorites are not on this list, that doesn't mean I didn't like them. I honestly just had to be ruthless with this because I wasn't going to have 100 dramas on this list. But if you want me to watch some of your favorite K-dramas and you don't know if I have, message me and let me know. And I'll let you know if I have seen it or not. And if I haven't, then I'll maybe add it to the list and see where we go from there. So, my first Korean drama that I think will always be number one, because it's the first one I automatically think of whenever I try to make these lists, is Voice Season 1. Season 1 specifically. Okay, we're going to make that distinction. Voice Season 1 came out in 2017. If you do not know what Voice is, it's a franchise of Korean dramas where a woman plays what do you call it? It's like I'm blanking. It's like a 911 operator, but it's like the Korean version of it. And she has like special hearing where she can hear very well. So like through a phone, she might hear, I don't know, footsteps or a conversation being whispered in the background that no one with a regular hearing ability would ever be able to hear, so on and so forth. Um, so she has that ability, and she works as like a dispatcher in Korea. And this woman is played by Lee Hana. And then you have Jang Hook, who is the cop that is partnered with her. He has his own backstory of he had his wife tragically died, so he's like a troubled cop basically. And they basically team up. She's behind the phone answering these emergencies. She runs the emergency 911 call center. It's not that she's just an operator, but she basically becomes a voice profiler because she's so good at it. And they team up and they solve cases, and they race against the clock, literally, while trying to answer these calls. And there's a literal timer going on while you're watching this drama. So like you are already stressed with the crime drama, but then you have a timer and they call it the golden hour, and it's counting down. And when I first watched this, I was like, that is such an interesting concept, because the audience is drawn even more into the chaos that this show is, because they're looking at this timer the entire time. But anyway, I digress. I love this crime drama. I compare every crime drama to it. I might be a little biased because I just love it so much, and I might not see some flaws. Season 1 by far is my favorite. Season 2 was good, but after season 2, it kind of went downhill. I have not seen season 3 because I haven't gotten access to it up until recently, and then I never even finished season 4. Supposedly they're doing a season 5, but that's been a rumor, like nothing's confirmed on that. The other reason I absolutely love this is because it has one of my favorite villains of all time, and that is played by Kim Jae-wook. If you watch the recent K-drama Death's Game, you will have known Kim Jae-wook as the serial killer painter guy from like episode 5. He plays an amazing serial killer in Voice Season 1. But I will preface this by saying this villain is bad. He's a villain for a reason. Like, he does atrocious things. You see it. He's not a good guy, and it's somewhat hard to watch, especially if you are not a crime drama watcher. And Kim Jae-wook, I know I've said this on other podcasts, but Kim Jae-wook has even come out and said like this role affected him and he was traumatized by it, and he had to do various things to get away from the role. And I think I even mentioned that in my Death's Game episode. I've been dying to see him in another villain role since the Voice Season 1, and we got it a little bit in Death's Game. I need more, but I will take one episode of him being a villain. There's just a lot of nostalgia with Voice Season 1 for me, and it will still be one of my favorite crime dramas and K-dramas of all time, and nothing is really going to change that. All right, so next up, we have the ever-famous crime Korean drama Stranger, Season 1 and Season 2. This is, like, probably no surprise that I have this on my list. It's a favorite of a lot of people. You might know it as Secret Forest. It had season 1 in 2017, and then season 2 I think was 2020. And then they even are having a spin-off with Lee Jun-hyuk's character coming out sometime this year. I've heard. It's not confirmed. I think the rumor is October right now. But people who have seen this, at least season 1, will say it makes sense that this is one of my favorite Korean dramas of all time, because a lot of people love this crime drama. I love the dynamic of Bae Do-na and Choi Sung-woo as a duo working together. I love watching them fight against corruption together. I love watching their relationship. I love Choi Sung-woo's character getting out of his comfort zone and expanding his viewpoints and experiences through his relationship with Bae Do-na's character, because Bae Do-na's character is this badass, really extroverted cop. And then you have Cho Sung-woo's character, who is extremely introverted due to things within the story that are told to you. And he just like has no social cues and cannot understand social cues. And it's their relationship and their dynamic is really nice. And I kind of attribute it to Sherlock Holmes and Watson. Like, Watson was always the human aspect to Sherlock Holmes. Like, he translated human to Sherlock Holmes and also translated Sherlock Holmes to humans. And Bae Do-na is kind of the same way. She's the Watson in terms of she was the human that Cho Sung-woo needed, like his character needed to experience life and be more attached to society than he was just by himself. And I will always say this too, their chemistry is so good and their dynamic is so good. This is one of the few times with Korean dramas that I have wanted a duo that has no romantic storyline in both seasons to become a couple, because their chemistry is that good. I mean, I could talk for hours about this duo, but I think people will also agree with me when I say this about Stranger. Also, with Lee Jun-hyuk's character, the fact that we're getting a spinoff will probably tell you a lot. There is some appeal with his character. He is a slimy, you can't trust him lawyer, prosecutor character, but there's something very charismatic about his character. So I'm not surprised we're getting a spinoff with his character alone. I will say I liked season 1 more than season 2, but I still liked season 2 a lot. All right, so moving on, we have Tunnel from 2017 as well. And this is another crime drama. And I'm sure a lot of people who have been watching dramas or have looked at lists or anything like that will recognize what this drama is. It stars Choi Jin-hyuk and Yoo Hyung-min and Lee Yoo-young. That's kind of the 3 people that you need to know about. You kind of see the theme going through my favorites is you have duos and trios working together for a common goal, specifically with crime dramas. But I remember when I first watched Tunnel, it blew me away with its like twists and turns. Like, there's a thing about, so there was this network that doesn't really produce dramas anymore. I think it still exists, but it's more of like, it started out as a movie network, and then it started making dramas, and I think it's still putting out movies or like airing movies, but it doesn't air Korean dramas. So there was like some period of time in the 2010s where this network called OCN was releasing Korean dramas, and every one of them was fantastic. I was really sad when OCN decided not to produce any more dramas. I think the last ones they did were released on TVN and weren't even released on their network. So I think they're still around. They're just not doing Korean dramas anymore. But it was by far one of my favorite Korean networks that were making dramas, and I wish it was existed still. But they were really known for their crime dramas. It was just something that was very special. Whenever they would announce they were putting out a crime drama, everybody was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna watch it. It's gonna be amazing." It always did really good in ratings in Korea, and Tunnel was one of them. I could never predict the twists in this drama. I loved our cop duo played by Choi Jin Hook and Yoo Hyung Min. I like I loved how intertwined the lives of these characters became, and I loved seeing the duo's progression of their relationship and how it changed. And then you added in EU Young's character too into that relationship. It just the twists were everything with this. And I rooted the entire time for Choi Jin Hook's character to like so with Tunnel, it's a time travel thing. And he left Choi Jin Hook time travels and leaves his wife behind. So you have duo storylines where you have Choi Jin Hook in the future, and then you have his wife periodically popping up and like showing her life without her husband. And that just grabbed at the heartstrings, like you're praying that he gets back to his wife and they're happy again and like everything will work out. And when I have that much investment in a story and I want to make sure that my characters have a happy ending and get what they deserve, that means I'm invested. And the fact that I cared about his wife and wanted him to get back to his wife and figure out all the crimes and everything, that just says a lot on how much I love Tunnel. All right, so moving away from crime dramas a little bit, we're going way back. As if I said before, Tunnel is 2017, Strangers 2017 and 2020, and Voice was 2017. So those were somewhat newer. And as I said, I've been watching Korean dramas for about 15 years. I started in 2008. One of my favorite dramas that is very nostalgic for me because it's one of my first dramas I watched is Faith. And I know, like, this is probably not the best drama out there these days, but it's like the second or third drama I ever watched. Faith was made in like 2012. So I started watching dramas in 2008, but I took breaks and everything and didn't really fully start watching dramas until closer to 2012, 2011. Lee Min-ho was, of course, my first male lead, so I was always going to watch Lee Min-ho in dramas in general. But yeah, Faith was just something else when I watched it. You have Lee Min-ho and you have Kim Hee-sun. I still love both of these people. You also have Roo Do-kwon, you have Park Se-young. I mean, like, this cast, you have Sung-hoon in this cast. Like, you have this amazing cast. But like, I think what drew me into this drama a lot, other than the cast, was the story was something I had never experienced in a K-drama, or let alone what else I was watching. It was like, it seemed so epic. Like, all the romances seemed epic. All of the danger was epic. And then you added on like the fantasy parts. And then the villain was, in my opinion, pretty bad. Like, all the villains were pretty bad in this one. It's just like, it has a lot of nostalgia for me. One of the few dramas I've rewatched multiple times. I don't rewatch dramas very often, but I've rewatched this multiple times. And it's just the one of those shows that kind of introduced me to like the palace shenanigans and the politics and palace dramas, and forever will be one of those nostalgic. I will go back to and watch it or watch scenes from it. It might not be the best drama ever now. I mean, people can watch it now and probably is like, what are you talking about, Caitlin? But it will forever be that nostalgic favorite that I will go back and watch scenes from all the time. I mean, it's like, so the story really quickly is like you have this plastic surgeon go back in time, and so she comes back with like the knowledge of being a doctor slash surgeon, and I'm a sucker for historical doctor dramas. I need to watch more of them, but I love them. So that, I think this also was my introduction to like that concept of being a historical doctor and trying to figure everything out. And then you have time travel involved, and then you have people that have powers. It was a ridiculous concept looking back at it now, but when I was watching it, I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. So again, a lot of nostalgia. I absolutely love it. Okay, the next one, I I don't think this needs much introduction. I'm sure it's on a lot of people's lists. And that is Kingdom, season 1 and season 2. Season 1 came out in 2019 and season 2 came out in 2020. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost positive that this is like one of the first, if not the first, Netflix produced K-dramas. Like, this was the start of Netflix going into Korea and picking up Korean dramas and really having an influence on Korean dramas. And I remember when I watched season 1, I just was in awe and I loved every second of it because there was nothing like it that I had watched previously. I mean, it wasn't like the first zombie thing I'd ever seen in my life, but it was just so different and so well done that I just remember being blown away with it. Like, I mean, yeah, we had Train to Busan in like 2016, 2017, so it's not the first Korean zombie thing, but I just remember being like, this is so different and so new and so well produced because it was this epic zombie in Joseon era concept that just was done so well. And again, theme, it has a duo that I root for and want it to be a couple, and it's not a couple. And that is Bae-doo-na and Joo Ji-hoon. Maybe we'll get it in season 3. I don't know, but their chemistry is really good. I root for them all the time. I can't say enough good things about this drama. And again, I don't think anybody's surprised by this because a lot of people love this drama. But it's just there was just something so unique about it and so new to me and so well acted. The cast was really good. I just remember being blown away, and I know I'm going to keep saying blown away all the time, but it was so good when it was released, and I need more. Like, I want to know when season 3 is out because it's been way too long, and I mean, people are still talking about this drama and wondering where season 3 is. And again, season 1 was released in 2019. Like, that's saying something on how great this drama is and how well acted this drama is and how well produced this drama is. And I need season 3. I need more. All right, so Next one. I don't think anybody will be surprised by this one because I talked about it in other blog posts. We're going to go more recent than even Kingdom because some dramas from last year have now been added to my all-time favorite Korean dramas. The first one is, of course, Oasis. It was my favorite drama of last year. It just, I honestly, looking back, I cannot believe I almost did not watch this drama. Like, I almost passed up this drama because at first I think a lot of people didn't watch this drama because the time period, for one. Like, if you know anything about the time period this is placed in, it's really sad. It's not a happy time. And Oasis, it's not a happy story in terms of the time period at all. And I think that pushed away a lot of people because it was released during the time where people really did not want a sad drama. But I mean, it's Jang Jun-yoon, so I was gonna watch it, and if I didn't like it, I would have dropped it. If I did like it, obviously I would continue. Of course, since it's on my all-time favorites, I continued it. And that's okay. Like, you don't have this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I will tell you that right now. I mean, it is in this list for two reasons. One, I might be a little biased because Jang Jun-yoon is one of my favorites. I adore him as an actor. The acting in this drama, not only with him, but just with the entire cast in general, is fantastic. Like, everybody acted their butts off, and I cannot give more praise about this acting in this drama. It was amazing to watch, and it pulled at the heartstrings. It was heartbreaking. Just the entire cast did some of the best acting I watched in 2023, hands down. Another reason why I adored this drama was because okay, so a little background, and I know I talked about this when this was airing last year. I love The Count of Monte Cristo. I adore that story. I've read it multiple times. I've seen like every movie adaptation, every TV adaptation I can get my hands on. I adore it. And as I was watching Oasis, I kept thinking, please let this be a Count of Monte Cristo scenario, because you have Jang Jung-yoo's character who's really poor. He's best friends with a rich kid. He ends up going to jail for the rich kid. There's a woman involved, and they kind of become a love triangle / friend group. He goes off to jail. The rich kid and the woman stay out of jail. Like, as I was watching this, there were a lot of parallels that could be Count of Monte Cristo parallels. And so I was like, please let this turn into a revenge drama. Please let this be a Count of Monte Cristo story. And it did. It became that story. And I loved every second of it. I loved the revenge. I loved the whole I'm getting out of jail and I'm proving to you guys that I am somebody. I loved the changes they made with the story, because even though there were parallels with Count of Monte Cristo, it wasn't an exact Count of Monte Cristo story, especially with the female lead. Because in Count of Monte Cristo, if you don't know, the female was the fiance to the male lead, and then when the male lead went to jail or prison, she married the best friend. And without knowing, because eventually they thought the male lead had died and all this stuff in Count of Monte Cristo. So she married the best friend. And then years later found out that like her fiance was not dead, and he came back as this rich guy. The female lead in Oasis did not do that. She was like, first off, the male lead never died in prison. Like, he was there and then he came out. So there was never a scenario where she thought he was dead and she was going to go and heal her wounds with the best friend. But even the best friend was very persistent, was like, I'm the better guy. I want to date you. And she kept saying no, not only because she wanted to still be with the male lead, but also because she wanted to be her own person, and she wanted to build up this movie theater business. She wanted to reclaim from her that her family used to own, and she wanted to become this strong woman, independent woman. And then eventually you have a romance down the line. And I loved that for the female lead. I love that they took nuances and story parts from the County Monte Cristo, but they didn't make her like the typical female lead. And she was fantastic. And it was great to see, because I was watching as it aired, and I always thought that Solyana's character would kind of fall into the tropes that you would think they would fall into, and then they didn't. It was a fantastic rendition, and I wish more people had seen it, because I had a lot of fun. Again, it's probably not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm probably really biased. But I loved Oasis. I absolutely loved it. And it was my top drama of last year, and is now in my top K-dramas of all time. Moving on, we have Death's Game. Again, I mean, I don't know if you guys might be surprised this is in my list, because it literally just ended last month. But there was just something special about this man. Like, I have a review about this drama on my podcast, so I'm not going to talk about it in detail, because you can go and listen to that review. But I loved this drama. I mean, it's another drama. I went to it not knowing what the story would be. I didn't read the webtoon or anything like that. It was just so unique. The story was unique. It was something you just did not see in K-drama land. So I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I loved the ensemble cast. The acting was excellent. I loved all the messages the drama conveyed with the story. It was different, and it was unique, and it had a huge impact on me, where I thought about the drama for days after I finished it. And that's just something special. When a drama can do that, there's something special about it. And it definitely shot up to being one of my favorite K-dramas of all time, and probably will be one of my favorite K-dramas of 2024/2023. I watched both parts in 2024, so I'm counting it as a 2024 drama. But it's just, I don't know if you would be surprised this is on my list or not, but maybe because it's really, 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 really recent, you might be surprised. But I love this Korean drama. I just was like in awe watching it the entire time. All right, moving on, because as I said, you can go listen to my review of that and hear about all my thoughts on that drama. We have a romance drama from 2019 called The Tale of Nokdu, and this stars Jang Dong-yoon and Kim So-hyun. And then we also have Kang Tae-oh as like a third main character. So this one, I mean, the obvious reason Jang Dong-yoon stars in it. I have 2 of his dramas on this list. So this one is the one that really made me fall in love with him. I had watched him in other dramas before, but this one he's so good. And there was just something special about this drama. And not only his role, but Kim So-hyun and Kang Tae-oh's roles in this drama are some of my favorites as well. This also has like a little bit of everything. You have some comedy, you have romance, you have historical intrigue, you have action, you have a little bit of mystery. Like, a lot of the genres are in this, and done well. Like, they're not just like all murder or all romance, or there's a good mix. Um, I rooted for the good guys to stay together and win at the end, and I wanted the bad guys to perish, which tells you again, I was invested. I wanted this couple to survive, and I hated the bad people. This is also one of those dramas that, when it comes to dramas, and because I watch so many crime dramas and I like to play along and I try to predict what's going to happen, sometimes I do, and then I kind of drop it because then I know the entire drama and I get bored. Other times I completely am wrong and I love that I'm wrong, or I just can't predict. I remember the exact scene and the exact moment that a twist happened in The Tale of Nokdu that I never saw coming. And I was so surprised. And to this day, that twist still is like one of my favorite twists of all time. Because it was done so well and so out of nowhere, and then just created a character, a villain character, that I absolutely love. But I was so invested in the main couple. I needed them to be happy by the end. I love that it had a couple of tropes and then kind of turned it on its head, so it wasn't your typical trope. Like, for example, okay, so a little main synopsis. You have Jang Dong-yoon, who his family gets killed, and he chases one of the people who kill his family to the capital. And then he meets Kim So-hyun's character, who is trying to do her own thing and kill somebody else. And he realizes that the assassin that killed his family lives in this village that Kim So-hyun lives in. And they all live in what you call a widow village. So we all know from history that widows could not marry again. So in this drama, these widows would live together and have community together. And so one of the tropes you got in this drama is you had a cross-dressing trope, but it was turned on its head because it was not a woman cross-dressing to be a man. It was Jang Dong-yoon cross-dressing to be a woman. And let me tell you, he pulls it off very well. But he needs to like cross-dress to enter this village and find the assassin that killed his family. And then you have so much more drama come into play. But the fact that he looked good as a woman and played it very well and was convincing as a woman says something about his acting. And it just worked for this drama. It was well acted. The story didn't lag. The whole cross-dressing trope thing was not weird. It was good, and I love this drama, and I have a lot to say about this drama. Okay, so the next one is Missing the Other Side, Season 1, and I will tell you why it's not Season 2 for a very obvious reason. And that is because I have not seen Season 2. For the longest time, Season 2 was not available for me. So I only watched Season 1. And I've only seen Season 1 to this day. And I think now it is available somewhere, so I do need to go watch it. And normally, I wouldn't have just Season 1 or just Season 2 or Season 3 on my list if I hadn't seen the other seasons. But Season 1 just had a huge impact on me when I watched it. This is a 2020 drama that I can't put in the honorable mentions. I can't not have it on this list. I just remember being so invested in the characters and their stories, especially with the people in the village. I'm trying not to give a ton away because there's a lot of twists in here where you're like, oh my god. But the backstory with these characters were just so emotional and so heartbreaking, but also heartwarming at the same time. It's one of those stories where you learn about these characters and then you grow attached to them, and then you learn about their heartbreaking or heartwarming backstories and you care about them even more. I loved the messages throughout this drama that were being used and being told. I cried buckets. You have a ton of emotions with this drama. I was just so sad when season 1 ended and was so glad that season 2 came about. It also introduced me to Ha-joon, who is one of my favorite male actors. But the ensemble cast in general for this is just really well acted and really good. You have Go-soo, who is amazing. You have Hyo Jun-ho, you have An So-hee, you have So Yoon-soo, you have Sung Kyung-hee. It's like a big, great ensemble cast. And it's like and it also has like a mix of genre. You have a thriller, you have mystery, you have supernatural, you have a little romance, you have found family. Especially if you are a found family person, this is the drama for you, but you will cry. It's heartbreaking sometimes, but just the emotions and the roller coaster of emotions I felt with this, it has to be on this list. But I really need to see season 2. Speaking of roller coaster of emotions, my last drama, I think it's my last drama on my list before honorable mentions. Yes, my last drama on this list before honorable mentions, in no particular order, is The Crown Clown from 2019. My God. So I loved Yo Jin-gu before this drama. But man, there was Yo Jin-gu before this drama, and now there's Yo Jin-gu after this drama. Like, if you like acting and you want to see amazing acting, run, do not walk, and go and watch this drama. Yo Jin-gu is just on another level in this drama. His acting is I don't even know how to describe it. His acting is so good. But you have a person who's playing two separate characters, and when they're together in a scene together and he's acting opposite himself, you would not know they're acted by the same person. Like, it's that good. It's just, and then the emotions and the roller coaster of this story, you can't help but not be affected by this story and not be invested in this story and not want happiness for these characters. And you like want everything to be okay by the end of this drama because you feel for them, and I like was cheering and I was crying and I was really angry. I was invested in this drama a lot, and it's still one of my favorite historical dramas of all time. There's just so much I could say about this drama, and if you have not seen it and you love historicals or you just want amazing acting, it's just it. Please go see this drama. Like, please run and click play, because The Crown Clown is just, it's something else. It's just amazing. Okay, so now, because I could not stop, I have a couple honorable mentions. I think I have four or five. I have five, maybe six. See, this is why this list is so hard, because I have six honorable mentions. Usually with the other lists, I had like 10 and no honorable mentions, or maybe 11. Now I have 10 plus like 6 honorable mentions for Korean dramas. Okay, again, in no particular order, my honorable mentions for my favorite Korean dramas of all time was season 1 of Pachinko. I have not read the book. I didn't know a lot going into this drama. I went in knowing that the acting would be good because of the cast. And again, I was blown away. Like, the cast is on another level. The story is epic. The cinematography is beautiful. acting introduced me to a bunch of actors and actresses I had never seen or had seen very little of. And I can't wait for season 2. The only reason why this is an honorable mention is because cuts had to be made. Like, I couldn't have 96 Korean dramas on this list. But I cannot give praise enough to Pachinko, and I cannot wait for season 2. And I want to know more about. I was just so fascinated by the history behind this drama and the cast and the family generations and the story. There was just so much to latch onto and to care about. And I cannot wait to see more of the family's story in general. Okay, my second honorable mention is My Roommate is a Gumio from 2021. I was obsessed with this drama when it aired, which I remember it surprised a lot of people because normally I don't like rom-coms. I'll find like 2 or 3 a year that I love, and then the rest I'm like, they're okay. They're not bad. Or I don't like them and I drop them. My Roommate is a Gumio was one of those dramas where I was running for the next episode. I could not wait for the next episode. And again, the same reason for Pachinko, like cuts had to be made. So this is why it's in the honorable mention. I had to mention it though, because this is one of my favorite Korean rom-coms of all time. First off, my love for this drama started before the drama aired because the leads have this iconic lead couple photo shoot that came out before the show even aired and just blew, like, they looked amazing. I can't even describe it because obviously I can't show you the picture, but they had chemistry in these photos that made me even more excited to start the drama because, like, just do yourself a favor and Google Jin Ki-young and Lee Hae-ri. I think it was First Look. I think that was the photo shoot. First Look photo for Gumio or something like that. It was so adorable and so cute and just made me want this drama sooner. And I still to this day love that photo shoot. The drama, though, perfect balance of comedy and romance. I mean, I was a little skeptical going in because, again, I don't particularly like a lot of comedy. My humor is very weird. Sometimes I like comedy, sometimes I don't. It just has to be a certain particular type of comedy. And for some reason, the comedy worked in this for me. The fantasy parts of this drama I loved. The lead couple had amazing chemistry. I rooted for them the entire time. They played off of each other. I was just very invested in the leads. And then even the second lead couple, I liked them together. It took a little bit longer for me to care about them, but when I did, they were great. And I hated the second male lead because I was so invested in the lead couple, but he also had chemistry with the female lead. So that was an interesting dynamic. I mean, that's played by Bae and Hook, but Bae and Hook had chemistry with Lee Hae-ri as well. So it was an interesting dynamic of a triangle. But I mean, I rooted for the lead couple all the time. But it's a fantastic rom-com, and I can't give more praise to it whatsoever. Like, it was just one of those where I needed all the episodes right away, and I was so sad when it ended. And I think that's not going to be right, because I think he did another drama before. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. My next one is the Korean drama Find Me in Your Memory. I adore this drama. It's from 2020. And again, the reason why it's in the honorable mentions is because cuts had to be made, but I just needed to mention it. Stars Kim Jung-wook and Moon Ka-young. And then Kim Sol-gi, Yoo Jung-hoon and Lee Jin-hook are some of the supporting casts. This one kind of went under the radar, if I remember correctly. Like, not a lot of people were watching it or have watched it. Or at least, if they've watched it, they haven't talked about it, because I would be talking with everybody about this drama if I saw anything. I loved the lead couple in this drama. I think it was a drama that was more on the quiet side, so people skipped over it. It also aired during a time where there were a ton of romances with murder as a plot point, that they just skipped it because they were sick of romance mixed with murder. That is my cup of tea, so I will watch anything. And I'm really glad I watched this. So it didn't bother me that there was murder involved. Quick synopsis, in case anybody was curious, but we have basically the two main leads have these memory conditions. We have Kim Jung-wook, who is a news anchor, and he can recall everything in very, very exquisite detail. So he has basically can remember everything, has all these memories that haunt him. And then we have Moon Ka-young's character, who's an actress, and she seems to be forgetting a lot of things. So they kind of have to work together to figure out a murder, and she has a stalker, and they have to kind of find that, and then there's a bunch of working together, falling in love type stuff. And their story, I just love their chemistry. The snow and winter scenes in this drama are beautiful. The posters are beautiful. It just had a good mix of genres and never was boring for me. And I love that the leads supported each other and just were better together and were better working together than they were apart. And then the supporting cast was great because Kim So-gi played a sister/manager of Moon Ka-young's character, and they had a great relationship. And then you had all these people in the newsroom with Kim Jung-wook's character and their supporting cast. I love the cast in this, and they all supported each other, and they all worked together great. It was one of those sort of found family ones, but not as epic as some of the other found family ones that I love. Okay. Last drama in my honorable mentions is Queen of Mystery. 2 reasons why this is on my honorable mentions. 1, cuts needed to be made. 2, I have not watched season 2, and I feel like I needed to watch both seasons to determine as a whole if this was my all-time favorite or if it was just the magic of season 1 that I loved. So I decided to not put this in my list because I wanted to watch season 2. Main reason why I love this drama, and it's so unique in my opinion, because I haven't seen anything else like it, was it reminded me of Murder, She Wrote. I love Murder, She Wrote. I've seen all the episodes. And I'm a sucker for crime dramas where normal people are solving murders and crimes. And it's essentially Murder, She Wrote. It really is. So we have the female lead, who's played by, hold on, let me look it up really quick. Okay, so we have the female lead, who is played by Choi Kang-hee, and then the male lead is Kwon Sang-woo. And Choi Kang-hee plays this basically a person who wanted to be a cop her entire life, but ends up being either, if I remember correctly, she was definitely a housewife, but I can't remember if she's a widow or not. I have not watched this in many years. This came out in 2017. And she basically goes around her neighborhood and somehow always ends up running into murder scenes. And then half the time, we have Kwon Sung Woo's character, who's the detective, trying to figure out how she's always finding these crime scenes. And again, it comes down to the theme of this duo who I would love to have them have a romance, and they don't, at least in season 1, because they have amazing chemistry. There's some parts with her like married family, like the family she married into, that were somewhat aggravating. Her mother-in-law could not be the nicest person in the world, and I think her husband had a sister too, if I remember correctly. But this was just a lot of fun. There's comedy, there's crime. Again, it reminds me of Murder, She Wrote, which is a fantastic idea. I need more Korean dramas like that. Okay, so last on my list, the reason why it's an honorable mention is because it's not a drama. It's technically a movie. But I needed to mention this. And that is the Along with the Gods movie series. We have 2 movies out currently. They're basically trying to make part 3 and 4, and I need them now. I remember watching these movies and just being like, oh my god, like there's nothing like it out there at all. Like how epic and large scale. I was just so impressed. Story grips you right away. The acting is amazing. The CGI is just something I had never seen before. The movie franchise is so different and so unique. And if you have not seen these movies, you need to go see these movies. Like, they're just so different. And the cast is there's so many people in this cast that you'll recognize, especially if you've been watching dramas for a while. And they kind of just pop out of nowhere. You all of a sudden are like, oh, I know that person. Oh, they're a great actor. The cast is just really, really top notch. And it's basically about a guy who dies heroically and goes to, I can't remember if it was heaven. I think he's like in limbo, honestly. And it's the story of these Grim Reapers, basically. Guardians, Grim Reapers, however you want to say it, navigating the afterlife with this firefighter that died and having to guide him through these trials that he's going through. And they've done 2 of the 4 movies that are planned. It's so emotional and so epic, and I can't even say how much I love these movies. But the reason why they're in the honorable mention is because it's a movie and not a drama. That would be really interesting to see if this could be made into a drama, because it could be done now. I think back then probably not, but that would be multiple seasons because there's a lot packed into these movies. That is my list of my all-time favorite Korean dramas, as well as multiple honorable mentions. I hope you enjoyed my list. Again, you can go and read about my thoughts on these dramas and movies on my blog. I have this list as a blog post now, but I've also mentioned multiple of these dramas and movies on other blog posts. And thank you again for listening to me go on and on about Korean dramas and how much I love them. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you thought of my list. What are some of your all-time favorite Korean dramas? And again, go to my blog and read about my all-time favorite Chinese dramas, all-time favorite Taiwanese dramas, etc., etc. They're all there for you. And good night. If you want to continue the conversations about dramas that were started in this episode, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter under the username NoSleep4Dramas. That is no sleep, the number 4 dramas, just like in the title of the podcast. This podcast is also an expansion of my blog, so you can visit my blog at www.NoSleep4Dramas.com, the number 4 dramas.com, and find multiple years of blog posts already available at your fingertips. All links are in the description of this episode. This has been an episode of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, and I am your host, Caitlin. I will see you here next time, and I hope you get no sleep chasing the next episode just like me. Good night.